So, good evening and welcome to our Wednesday Creative Living series. We are so glad always that you are here. You're the reason we open our doors. So, thank you very much. And whether you've been walking this path for a long time or tonight is your very first visit, know this that we are glad that you are here and you belong here. It's a space that's open for everyone. It's open for real people to grow, to connect. And it means even more with you here. So thank you for being here. And this gathering, we always want everyone to come as they are and not need any covers. We are not here to tell you what to believe. We are here to grow together, to remember what's already deep inside each and every one of us. That power. It's always been there. That knowing, it's always been there. You don't have to follow any set beliefs or systems here. This is a simple space to tune into your own heart and see what feels true for you. We want to know how to tune in, quiet ourselves, and hear that voice that's always speaking. And here we take what feels right for you and let go of anything that doesn't. Because the most meaningful truths don't come from outside of you. They rise from within you. So when we say we know that we know, we're calling on that deep knowing power that's within us. So take a deep breath and let yourself arrive fully in this moment. We always talk about the power is in the present moment. You are in a safe place, no masks, no pressure, just the way you are. It's great, it's perfect. So in life, we all go through foggy seasons. Sometimes it's a heartbreak, a loss, a diagnosis, a season of depression, confusion, or disconnection. Things they're not just working out well. Sometimes the fog doesn't arrive like a storm. It slips in quietly. You may not even notice it at first. There's no major crisis, no loud disruption, just a growing sense that something is off. You just don't feel yourself. You are going through the motions, but things feel heavier. You can't just place your hands what the reason is. The joy you used to find in everyday life feels dimmer. And you're wondering what's happening. You might feel disconnected, restless, or like you are walking through your day without solid ground beneath you. I don't know if you felt something like that. It's not that anything is clearly wrong, but nothing feels quite right either. You can't place your hands on it. That's the nature of fog. It doesn't always shout. It just slips in. It lingers, it clouds your thinking, and it makes it hard to see clearly. And then it starts to whisper when it gets you into that place. It begins to whisper silently, you are stuck. You are behind. You are not enough. Why bother? It won't work anywhere. Everyone else is doing better than you. You always mess things up. And the trail of the negativity that comes with it. And when these things happen, it just makes you weak and not able to rise. The longer you sit in that fog, the more convincing those whispers can be. They become louder, overwhelming. They get you emotionally, psychologically, and it begins to affect your physical being. That's what fog does. It distorts. It makes the path ahead look hopeless. Why bother? Why wake up and stand up and do your affirmation? You've done it how many times now? You've been doing that and nothing has happened. Why do you want to continue doing this? It plays tricks on your mind and weighs on your heart. But here is the truth. The fog is not who you are. It may be part of what you are walking through, but it doesn't define you. The fog, the situation, the circumstance does not define you. It's not your identity. It's not even your future. It's not even who you are now. How can it then be your future? And it's not definitely your truth. And it takes a practitioner or someone who knows his or her truth to stand on the truth. The fog is not your voice, it's just noise. It's not your worth, it's just a passing feeling. It's not your story, it's just one chapter, and it doesn't get to write the ending. It's just a chapter. You can flip the next page and start a new chapter. The fog may cloud your vision, but it can't erase your light. That power is there. In it you live, you move, and you have your being in that greatness, in that miracle, in that wholeness. It may try to convince you that you are stuck, but it can't cancel your growth. Remember, whatever happens to us, because we've allowed it. It may hang heavy in the air, but it doesn't hold the power. You do. You hold the power. Because with that power, you can do exceedingly abundantly and above all the time. And that power, it's available 24/7. It does not sleep. It does not slumber. Anytime you call, you knock, you are waking to this power, it acts. So when the fog shows up, don't mistake it for the truth. Just like the weather, it shifts, it moves, it clears. So I want you to be thinking about that fog, that situation. You think it's permanent because it's been there for no long. You can speak these things to that situation. You move, you shift, and you clear. Because I've said so, your words are powerful. And when it does, who you really are is still there. Steady, whole, and shining. Let's go through a story. There's a well-known story among pilots that's often used to illustrate the importance of trusting one's training and internal compass, especially when surrounded by fog. A young pilot was flying a small aircraft for the first time without a co-pilot. The weather changed suddenly, and he found himself surrounded by dense fog. He could see nothing outside the windows. No horizon, no ground, no sky, just a gray, endless gray sky all around. Panic began to rise in his chest. Every instinct screamed, "Pull up, you are diving." But his instruments told a different story. The altitude gauge, the artificial horizon, and the compass all indicated that he was level and stable. Still, the internal fear persisted. His body felt like it was tilting. His senses told him he was spiraling. But the pilot had been trained for this exact moment. He remembered the words of his instructor. In the fog, trust your instrument. Your senses will lie. Your body will betray you. But your instruments will not. So against every natural impulse, he gripped the yoke and flew by the numbers, disregarding the panic in his chest and the confusion in his mind. So we disregard what we see and trust that power, that word that says, I can do all things. That word that says, I am coming out of this situation. That word that says, this can only end in praise. That word that says, you are above only, you're never beneath. That word that says, all things are working out for your own good. Eventually, the fog began to break. Suddenly, light poured through the clouds. The landscape appeared beneath him. He had flown safely through the disorienting storm by relying not on what he felt, but on what he knew. So what do you know for yourself? Do you know for yourself that all is well? Do you know for yourself that you are coming out of that situation? Do you know for yourself that the thoughts of God, the Spirit of the universe for you are thoughts of good to give you a hope and a future and an expected end? Do you know that for yourself? Do you know that every fog has a time? And as we keep focused on the truth, we'll definitely come out of it. This story mirrors our spiritual journey. When life gets confusing, when fear clouds the mind and emotions scream that we are falling apart, we rely on the instruments of truth, our inner compass, our spiritual principles we've learned, the voice of peace beneath the panic. We rely on the fact, on the truth that we are one with infinite possibilities. In it we live, we move, and we have our being. Even when everything inside us feels upside down, there is a deeper truth that can guide us through. Even when everything inside feels upside down, topsy-turvy, there is a deeper truth that can guide us through. And that truth, that power does not sleep. It does not slumber. And our class is here is to align us, to awaken us to that truth that has always been there. The fog may feel real. Actually, it's real. But the instruments of spirit, the truth of your divine nature, your wisdom, your faith, will never lead you astray. When we practice spiritual awareness, we strengthen our ability to navigate life's storms with confidence. We don't have to have everything figured out to move forward. What matters is remembering what's true and taking the next step with faith, trusting that even if we can't see it yet, something good is unfolding. Something good, it's always unfolding. When we look out for the good, we see the good. If we decide to focus on the fog, on the situation, we'll magnify it. And it overwhelms us. Let me tell you another story. In 1970, a young man named John Gillis, later known as John O'Leary, was just 9 years when he was severely burned in a house fire. He sustained burns on 100% of his body and was given 1% chance to live. While lying in a hospital bed in total agony, swaddled in bandages, he couldn't see a way forward because it's all pain. The reports, the statistics does not say anything good. The emotional and physical fog was overwhelming, but something happened. A retired baseball player named Jack Buck, who had never met John, heard about the boy and decided to visit. Jack leaned over the hospital bed and whispered, "Kid, wake up. You are going to live. You're going to survive. And when you do, we are going to celebrate. You hear me?" Sometimes in life we need to encourage ourselves and speak these words. I am going to live. I'm going to live beyond this situation. My later years shall greatly increase. Things are working out for my own good. It's all turning around for my own good. Then he left. He came back the next day and the next and the next, saying the same thing to the boy. That spark of belief offered by someone else when John couldn't find it himself became the anchor John needed. And I speak like John. I speak like the baseball. You are thriving. You are going through the situation and you come out blessed, abundant. It's all working out for your own good. That situation will not see your end. You will see the end of that situation, because that the words that we speak are powerful, and we learn to sow seeds with our words. Years later, John did survive, and he grew up to become an international speaker, a best-selling author, and a living testimony to the power of belief, even in darkest fog. Jack saw the truth where others saw fog. So what are you seeing? Do you know the truth? Are you seeing the truth in that situation? You may want to write down the truth of who you are and affirm it daily. When it comes to how we experience life, what we believe, how we feel, and how we respond to challenges, so much of it begins in the mind. Our thoughts shape our reality. Our thoughts shape what we see, and the stories we tell ourselves influence the way we move through the world. Again, would be, what is your internal dialogue like? Is it uplifting? Or is it going down? And that's one thing that this teaching helps us to change those thoughts when it's all looking gloomy. And a big part of that shaping happens through our internal dialogue. The quiet, quick conversations we have with ourselves all day long. All day long. So if your internal conversation is negative, it's more of negative, would you be surprised if the outcome, the product, what you see tomorrow, it's negative? When those inner words are filled with doubt, fear, and old beliefs, they can create a kind of fog that blurs our perspective. We start to believe the fog more than the truth. But when we become aware of those thoughts and begin to shift them, even gently, we start to clear the way forward. But here is something powerful to consider. There are two streams that flow into the river of your mind. The first is your consciousness, your inner world. It is shaped by your thoughts, your memories, your beliefs, your past experiences, and the way you've learned to speak to yourself over time. Do you forgive yourself? Do you love yourself? Do you talk gently to yourself? Are you harsh with yourself? Sometimes you hear people tell themselves, I knew you've always been stupid. We want to learn how to speak positively to ourselves because we are engulfed by the words of our mouth. The second stream is what comes from the world around you. Things like the news, social media, other people's opinions, and the pressure to be or to do certain things. It's often loud, fast, and full of fear or judgment. These two streams flow through your mind every day. They influence what you think, how you feel, and how you show up in life. But the good news is you get to choose which one you listen to. You have the power. Will you align with the noise of fear, limitation, and judgment? Or will you return to the deep well of inner truth, peace, faith, divine identity? The fog you sometimes feel, whether it's confusion, discouragement, or the sense of not being enough, often comes from past wounds or painful experiences. It could also be because of repeated trials. You tried it so many times and you just believe the same thing would happen again. But we can change all that through our thoughts. These feelings are then made heavier by fear, pressure, the messages we constantly receive from the world around us. Just keeps us in that downward trail. If we are not careful, we can begin to mistake the fog for the truth because we have dwelled in it for a long time. You've been in that pain for a long time, and you do not even know what it feels like to be free of pain. You've been in that suffering for a long time. That has become the norm for you. Even when abundance, good things come your way, you do not know how to handle it because you so much believe that suffering is who you are. But again, we know suffering is not God ordained. When we don't pause and check in with ourselves, it's easy to start believing every thought that passes through our mind. Even the ones that make us feel small, stuck, and unworthy. That's why we always encourage us to pause, and be that sieve for yourself, for your heart, for your mind. But here is a gentle reminder, you don't have to believe everything you think. Just because a thought shows up doesn't mean it's true. You don't have to believe everything you think. We have to sieve it. Just because fear speaks doesn't mean it deserves the microphone. You are not obligated to agree with the fog. You have the power to choose a different voice, a quieter, truer one that comes from within. That voice within will always tell you that you can do all things. That one will always tell you that you are enough just the way you are. And this is how we begin to live with more clarity and intention, by noticing what we are letting into our minds. And that's why anything wants to slip in or creep in, whichever way is comfortable with you, shout, get lost, get out of here, this is not who I am, or out, just get rid of it. No space for you in this temple of mine. By noticing what we are letting into our minds, we are holding on to, what we are better off releasing. I've had enough of this, just release it. When we become more mindful of what flows into our space, we take back the power to guide our lives with wisdom, peace, and purpose. This is what it means to live consciously, when you stop running on autopilot. We become aware of what we are allowing in, what we are feeding our mind and spirit, and we start making choices from a place of presence rather than pressure. And it's not about trying to control situations or perfecting every response. It's about learning to recognize the difference between the voice of fear and the voice of truth. And when the fog shows up, and it will, we don't run or shut down. We remember what's real. We gently guide ourselves back with simple reminders like, this isn't who I really am. This won't last forever. I'm being guided by something greater. These little truths help us back to the center, one step at a time. The center, that center. These aren't just feel-good words. They are like anchors that help steady you, steady me, when everything feels shaky. And so long as we are in this life, things would be shaky sometimes. But what do? We hold on to the truth. Even if you don't fully believe them right away, say them anyway. Even if it doesn't make sense to you in that moment, speak the truth. Affirm the truth. Fill the totality of your being with the truth. Because sometimes just a small spark of truth is enough to start clearing the fog. Because that truth will tell you, do not move, do not shake. You have the power within you. Just like they say, the darkest period of the night is just before dawn. Maybe one just continued holding on to the truth will see you through. This is how we begin to find our way back to peace, when we choose to live with more awareness, paying attention to what we are thinking, feeling, and allowing in. We begin to claim our inner space. We start to notice with which voices lift us up and which ones weigh us down. And even companies that weigh us down and the one that pull us, lift us up. When we come back to our center, we return to the path of us that's calm, clear, grounded, and deeply whole. That's what it means to come home to yourself. That's how we move through the fog with grace. Imagine you are standing at the bottom of a mountain you climbed before. You know the way. You've seen the top. But today, a thick fog has rolled in. You can't see very far, and everything feels uncertain. You might feel nervous. You might even think about turning back. But here is the thing. The fog doesn't mean the mountain is gone. That the fog covered the mountain is still there. The path is still there. The summit hasn't moved. And deep down, you still remember how to climb. So what do? So you pause, you breathe. You take one steady step at a time, trusting what you know instead of what you see. In that way, the fog becomes a teacher. Not a reason to quit, but a chance to slow down and rely on something deeper, your inner knowing. That's what the spiritual practice is like. Talk about slowing down, pausing, and going within. When life feels unclear or heavy, It's not a sign that you are lost. It's an invitation to come back to what's true, even if you can't see the full picture yet. So when life feels unclear, uncertain, it's easy to wait. We want to wait. We're thinking we'll wait for a sign, for the fear to pass, for everything to make sense before we take the next step. But sometimes waiting keeps us stuck in the fog. Spiritual growth invites us into a new way. Don't wait for perfect clarity. Start walking with faith. You're in the midst of the fog, and you're waiting for everything to be perfect before you take that step. But as students, we want to walk with faith, trusting that the fog would clear. We live as if what we've prayed for already, it's on its way. You prayed for healing. You want to start acting like healing is there. This isn't pretending. It's choosing to trust what's true in your spirit, even when you can't see it with your eyes. Live as if. It means saying, I may not have all the answers, but I believe the ground is still beneath my feet. I believe something good is unfolding. That's living by inner vision, not outer conditions. If you've affirmed peace but still feel anxious, slow down, speak gently, breathe deeply. Let your body experience what peace sounds like. If you have affirmed healing, take care of your body with love. Rest when you need to, eat well. Move with intention. Treat yourself like healing, it's already happening. Because in truth, it is. If you have affirmed divine guidance, take the next step that feels right. Even if you don't see the whole path, move forward with trust, knowing that as you go, the Spirit and the universe has your back. This kind of faith has power, not because it forces outcomes, but because it aligns you with the flow of life. Faith aligns you with the flow of life. When you act as if your prayer has already been answered, you create space for it to come alive. Act as if. Your energy shifts, your choices change, and the world around you begins to respond. Often, fog doesn't lift before we move. It lifts because we move. Like turning on a motion sensor light. Sometimes clarity shows up the moment we start coming, we start walking. Clarity shows up the moment you take that step, that first step. You don't have to have it all figured out. Just take the next step and you'll be amazed what will happen. Take that next right step and let faith meet you there. I'm going to close with a story about a woman who was deep in debt, struggling with fear, and affirming prosperity daily, but nothing seemed to change. She went to her spiritual teacher and asked, "Why aren't my affirmations working?" The teacher gently asked, "Are you living like someone who believes she's supported by an abundant universe?" The woman admitted she was still hoarding, still stressed, still saying no to life. The teacher encouraged her to live as if the abundance she was praying for was already present. So she made a small shift. She gave from a place of trust and gratitude. She circulated a portion of her good, knowing that giving opens the flow. No sudden windfall came overnight, but something inside her changed. Within months, new opportunities appeared. Things turned around, and she felt genuinely supported. It wasn't magic, it was just alignment in motion. And the question would be, how would you act if all the abundance you prayed for is with you? It's available, you have it within reach. How would you act? And then try to act now the way you would have acted when you had that money, had that abundance. Acting as if it's not about fooling yourself. It's about moving forward with faith. What is faith? Is calling those things that be not as though they were. Acting as if those things that be not, they're already here. Let your life preach the message that you trust the process, even in the fog. Faith is not hoping the fog will lift. It's knowing the sun never stopped shining. The fog may roll in again, but the truth, it's never far. You now have the tools to remind yourself and to help others remember what is eternal. So let us not be discouraged by unclear days. Let us be anchored in truth. Let us be the light that shines through the fog, not waiting for it to clear, but shining anyway. All is well with you, and so it is. Thank you for being here and for listening. Many, many blessings to you.